You know the North Korea story. My most fascinating story of North Korea is that in North Korea, when the World Cup is going on, World Cup football, right, North Korean television is broadcasting. Otherwise, North Koreans can't see television from outside at all. They have to see only North Korean television. World Cup football is shown. So, first match, Italy is playing Cameroon. On TV, Italy will be playing North Korea. And at the end of the match, North Korea has won 3-0. Second round, semi-final. Actually, Italy is playing Germany. In North Korean television, Italy will be playing North Korea, and North Korea will win. Brazil and Morocco are playing the finals. In North Korea, Brazil and North Korea are playing the final, and North Korea wins. And who scores the goal? Kim Jong. So so that's the thing. That what and this goes back to what I was saying. Adam Smith talks about morals, about morality, about values. That it's a society that has values, intrinsic values, not forced. The Delhi metro, you will never find, I haven't travelled too much in the Hyderabad metro, I hope it is the same, but Delhi metro, nobody does what Indians do all the time. And I find it very difficult to explain to people outside India. When they ask me this question, why do Indians spit? I mean, spit. Nobody knows. Why should you be spitting? I mean, and we spit everywhere. Some are spitting because they are eating pan parak, some are spitting. They are spitting, they are rolling down their windows and spitting onto the poor fellow on a motorcycle. They are, spitting from double-decker buses and you don't know what to do. Why do we spit? In the Delhi metro, nobody spits. Same fellows. Why? There are 4 cameras. Next station, 10 policemen come and drag you away. So, regulation is not, or behavior is not behavior because it is forced, because it is disincentivized. It is when you eat a packet of chips, which is a bad idea in itself, but if you eat that and keep the packet in your pocket and take it home and not throw it on the road. In Singapore, you don't do it because you get caned, you get flogged if you do. They cane you in public. But that's not the in most countries in the world you will not find. I mean, I was in Qatar last night, right? And it's not a very developed country. It's not where everybody is very educated. They just became wealthy. Not a single piece of trash anywhere. Nowhere. Sri Lanka, just as good as we are. You won't find trash anywhere. Ghana, poor country. I'm not talking of Switzerland and Norway. Why are we such? It is morality. It is morality. These days, I end up a lot, thanks to my age. For the last 30 years, I've been on this side of the table. The first 30 years of your life, you're on the other side answering questions. Now I'm asking the question. And in upon interview board, whether it is for, and I've done a lot of this for the corporate sector, for the technology sector, for government, the only thing that we are evaluating, trust me on this, only thing we are evaluating are your values. Can you solve a plus b whole square? Who cares? Right? The Prime Minister also cannot, but we don't care. Who cares? Do you know who the 3rd President of the United States is? I also don't know. I'm looking for your ethical standing. I'm looking for your mindset. Are you sitting there to fool me? Are you answering a question thinking that this other fellow is an idiot and that I will get away with this clever answer? Or are you bold enough to say, I don't know? That's all. Are you going to, if I ask you this question, are you going to answer with strength and conviction and character, or are you going to take the easy way out? You go to a hospital with your father who is on the deathbed, needs a ventilator, will die if he does not get a ventilator. There are 3 patients who need ventilators. The doctor says, give me 5,000 rupees and I will give the ventilator to your father. He'll die. There is no other hospital. He needs a ventilator. What will you do? Change. If you have fought with your father, change it to daughter. Does that change the answer? What will you do? That's the question. That's how important it is. Will you take the smart way out? What does success mean? Who is successful? And look at what has happened in the world today. Who is successful? Success is defined by, Praveen somebody getting sold for 8 crores in the IPL auction. That's what success is. Success today is about the money you earn. Money. How much did so and so get transferring from Liverpool to Chelsea? That's what it is. And that's what Michael Sandel talks about. That's I think the last book that I will encourage you to read today. Michael Sandel wrote a book. Anyone remembers this book? So he writes on that, but this book that I am referring to is called The Tyranny of Merit. Sandel is a Harvard professor, very, very respected, now very old. And what is Sandel discussing? His entire thing is, his question is that what gets you success? Merit or luck? Who becomes successful in today's world? And he says, proves it, that all these successful fellows are the ones who got lucky. What is merit? You might fool yourself thinking that I am meritorious. But what happened? You had parents who were nice enough, brave enough to not spend money on things that would have pleased them. Big television set, a nice home theater. Spend that money sending you to a good school. So you went to a good school. Got up early at 7 in the morning to drop you to school and not send you off walking or in a bus. Came back home to find a doting grandmother or a servant or feeding you the food that you want to eat, not any food. Switched on the air conditioner for you. You had a table, a reading light, and if you are poor in maths, some fellow came and taught you extra in the evening, put you to bed early, best of clothes, took you to holidays in Greece and Rome. You went and said class 10, I need these special tuitions, you got them. The MSET exam, I need to join this 1.5 lakh rupee Byju's class, you got that. And therefore you pass the exam. Merit. Really? Look at the other 90% in the city of Hyderabad. Go to a school, I mean half of them don't go to school. The other half who go to a school where there is no teacher. You went to a school where there was a teacher all the time. Most students in India even today go to schools where there are no teachers. They come back home to when there are no parents. They don't, 7 of them live in one room, and you can check that out. Go to those areas where people got flooded away in the last rains. Have you ever wondered why do we have floods in Hyderabad? Hyderabad, I mean, that little nala that flows, how does that flood? There is no sea, there is no ocean, and we have floods every year. And people die. Why? Because these, about 3 million people in Hyderabad live in houses that have cardboard for walls, tin for a roof. First rain, 0.2 centimeter rain, and the tin shed is gone. Those 2 books that you have are washed away. When do we give in government schools? And I am speaking from the government. When do we give schools to, when do we give you textbooks? Usually 3 days before the exam. The Urdu medium books are usually printed after the exam. And therefore, he gets 43%. You are very upset at 97.2. Who is meritorious? So that's the Sandel argument. And who becomes? Whose effort do we hail these days? Sachin Tendulkar's effort or Achrekar's? Who is Achrekar? That teacher who teaches you in school. And have you ever checked your teachers and their salaries? We grew up and later realized that our teachers who taught us this fabulous stuff in one of the best schools in the country came on a cycle. When I was studying my teachers' salaries, I realized that later when I got into the board of the school, that their salaries were between 600 to 900 rupees. Today in most schools in Hyderabad, teachers get salaries that are lower than the salary you are paying your driver or your maid. She is getting up at 7 in the morning to come and look after somebody else's children. Right? And who do we hail? Who are the successful people? So remember this, that this entire thing that starts from Adam Smith and goes on till Sandel and Piketty in between is about recognizing what actually is success. What we celebrate as success is pure chance. You got lucky. You could very well have been born in the neighbor's house. Look at all those. I remember kids I used to play with. I used to absolutely dote on them and look up to them. They are the smartest people I had met. And when I now drive this big car and pass by their barber saloon, I wonder, what did I do? That guy who was far smarter than me is cutting someone's hair. So that when we look at this definition of success, when we look at what we are doing with our lifestyles, when we look at how we define success, it is very important to do that with humility and with that sensibility that Adam Smith talked about. It is countries that respect true merit that do well. It is countries that respect wealth that collapse. It's such an irony. You will see that in Sweden and Finland and whatever, there is no big deal if you are rich. So if you are rich, you just got lucky. In fact, in most of those countries, and I remember the India that we grew up in, it was actually very shameful to be rich. You actually kept quiet that you had lots of money. You didn't want to say that. Today, as I told you before the break, today you want to celebrate a useless fellow's wedding for 1 year, right? And celebrate. That becomes the hallmark of success. Anytime, in any other place, that would be shameful. Ratan Tata called up Mukesh Ambani, for which Mukesh Ambani got very upset, saying, Mukesh, you are doing the wrong thing. Don't build that house. You are building that $1 billion house. You are poking fun and making a caricature of yourself amidst all that poverty. Ambani never spoke to Ratan Tata after that, but he said it. So that's my essential learning as far as I am concerned, as far as you are concerned. Lord, I'm 59 now, right? I just turned 59 a couple of weeks ago, which means that my batchmates are now retiring very fast. And I often ask them this question. They're all retiring most of them are retiring very successful. Right? They're either the chief secretaries of some states or the director generals of police or some CEO, CFO somewhere. And I know, because I'm a teacher, I will not retire. The teachers have this luxury. They can keep teaching till they die. When people ask us, what do you want to do? We want to die like Abdul Kalam. Abdul Kalam has said this, and I was in that room. He said this, that I want to die teaching. And you know how he died? On the podium. So I asked all these people that you are retiring now. Were you successful? And if you were, what makes you say so? Not one person has told me that I have 2 properties in Dubai or in California or Jubilee Hills. I have a swimming pool or I have 3 cars. Everybody has talked about one completely non-measurable, non-monetary outcome. That this policeman who just retired in Bihar, very, very, very influential. He said that the reason I think I am successful is because I ensure that wherever I was, in whichever district, there was no unfair conviction. That's all. I said, how many could you have done? He said, about 100 of them. Even if there were 2, I would retire happily. So it's really about that. What is it that makes you successful? What is it that at the end of the day, every day, when you put your head on your pillow and go to sleep, what is it that you have achieved? Is it those $100 that you earned? Or is it that some 2 people came and said, sir, thank you for what you did so and so some time ago? So the important thing, one, that wo girte hai shah sawar, that you can fall 100 times, you can lose 9 times out of 10, and if you go and ask people what is it that they did, you will find that the truly great people are those who will talk about those 9 mistakes that they made. I asked Bill Gates this question. Once a year we would have this big town hall where one of us could interview Bill and Warren Buffett. So I was doing it one year. I asked him, Bill, at 39 you are the world's richest fellow. Right? So, and then you set up the world's biggest foundation. What do Is there any regret? And the whole hall is 1200 people, and I expected him to say none. What regret can you have? Without blinking an eyelid, he said, yes, my biggest regret is that I don't know any other language but English. And he was so sincere in it. He said, I wish I knew another language. And then I asked him, so which language? And he said Arabic. But that was him. And he was really feeling so small, because he said so many kids out there, they know 4 and 5 languages and I don't. The fellow who gave to us Windows was saying that. And you'll often, that famous story of Shah Rukh Khan. And when somebody asked him, he said, what is the most memorable instance in your life? Everybody thought he'll say, some Oscar or some Filmfare award or whatever. He said that I went to this house, this locality in Haryana, and tried to get in, and the guard stopped me. Kahan ja rahe ho? So late. He said, I'm going to meet this friend of mine. I said, no, it is too late, you can't go. He said, Arey bhai, man, I am Shah Rukh Khan. He said, Shah Rukh Khan, kya karte ho? So he said, मैं hero हूँ. So he said, he looked at me up and down, लगते तो नहीं हो. And that's his story. That's the story that he tells often. The other Shah Rukh Khan story I really like was actually told to me by somebody else. So Narayanan is India's president. And Narayanan was this really intellectual president, very well read. When he was president, we went several times to Rashtrapati. So Shah Rukh Khan had made a movie called Ashoka. Right? Ashoka had Kareena Kapoor and this big star cast. And after the film was made, then this Mushtaq, who wrote the script, he also wrote a book based on that script. So the whole team went to meet the president. When they went in, Shah Rukh Khan said, sir, this is so and so, this is the director, so and so, this is the author of the book, and gave the book to him and introduced them to everybody. And Narayanan turns and says, I have been introduced to everybody. Who are you? And Shah Rukh Khan said, I just didn't know what to say. And sir, I also acted in the movie. And that. So you will see that a lot of these people are the humblest of. And I can tell you this, I've been lucky enough to have met a lot of them and worked with some. And the level of humility that you see is just unimaginable. And it is that the more successful the person, the more positive that person has been, the more humble that person has been, the simpler that person. And I'm really talking about the most successful people in the world, who, Warren Buffett, again, when I asked him this question on charity, that what do you understand by charity? And he said so simply, he had given the largest donation that year of some $27 billion. Right? He had given away $27 billion in one go. He said, Warren Buffett giving away money is not charity. That's loose change. It is when this black help goes to the church, and of the $10 she has, gives away 7. That is charity.